Welcome back. We are here to talk about for
You've
the.
got mail.
Better turn that off. What a way to start off by telling me I've got mail. We're here to talk about the Monday Night Raw show, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. We opened up with a promo video about Cody Rhodes talking about how he was going to win the Rumble again, and I'm like, really? We have to see this Cody Rhodes video again? And I'm like, oh well, whatever. Sit through that. Cody opened the show. Um, so I guess Cody changed his entrance. He doesn't come up rising from the stage anymore. Maybe because they just don't do that anymore. I don't know. But Cody Rhodes' entrance has changed, I guess. But basically, Cody Rhodes was just talking about how I went on and won the Rumble. I would tell my past self that you're gonna do all these things. He talked a long time. He talked a long time to Cody, which is fine. But he said that he's going to go on to WrestleMania and beat Roman Reigns for the championship. Of course, as you would say. Um, but I just feel bad for Cody Rhodes, man, because everything that he was saying, I just didn't feel it, and I still just don't feel like it. Like I think that there was nobody from the bloodline on Raw tonight, unfortunately. So the biggest story that they had going for them after Royal Rumble, there was no follow up with it out at all. Just another video package, just recapping that came later about them showing what happened with the bloodline. So it's been confirmed that well, the announcers said that you have to tune in for you have to tune into SmackDown to hear about it. So we'll see if that holds true. I mean, they can't not show you anything on SmackDown. But just like again, I feel bad for Cody, man, because like it's supposed to be his moment, but it just doesn't feel like it's supposed to be Cody's moment. I mean, it just doesn't. It feels like that it's still supposed to be Sami Zayn's moment, and unfortunately, what I was talking about, at the SmackDown better be good. Then SmackDown has to do better. I mean, the show tonight was okay. I actually had quite a bit of fun of watching it. I think the wrestling was better than normal. Um, but we're going to talk about something that came later on in the show. Something that's very important here, and something that is becoming a habit for Triple H. Um, but Cody was about to walk to the back. The promo was over, but the Judgment Day's music hit, and they came out to talk to Cody Rhodes. Finn's like, I'm sick and tired of how you take everything that I made. I did this first. I did this first. I made it famous, and well, he didn't say I made it famous, but he basically said that Cody copied everything from Finn, and you know. And at first, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, Finn, we've heard this before when you told the Good Brothers and AJ that, but then I'm like, no, wait, that kind of makes sense because Cody, did the whole the too sweet, and then with the gun kiss that he did at Royal Rumble. So I mean, I guess that makes sense if that's what Finn was referring to, as well. Men's chamber match is going to be fire. I agree. I think that the United States Championship matchup is setting up to be pretty wild. Um, but actually, Damian Priest was speaking some truth when he said that Rhea earned her spot at entering the Rumble at number one, and that Cody just got handed the number 30 spot. And I'm like, well, where's the lie in that one? I was like, he's not wrong. But Triple H did make a smart decision because Dominic is the. No, I would say Dominic is either the number one heel or the second best heel they have on the Raw roster. Because everyone just hates Dominic, man, and so what a way to get the crowd to want to see Cody get some cheers in there by having Dominic start cutting a promo on Cody. Um, but eventually, a little bit after that, Edge came out to attack the Judgment Day, and at first Cody Rhodes was like staying out of it, But then seconds later, Cody then got involved with the brawl to help Edge out, which thankfully he did, because it would have been absolutely stupid if Cody was just like, well, it's not my fault. It's not my fight to get involved in. And if he just let Edge just, deal with all the numbers. And I was like, dude, if Cody were to leave Edge, I would have been like, bro, I'm like, I know it's not your fight, but you're supposed to be the good guy. You go help. You're supposed to do that shit. But anyways, so we go to the next match of Seth Rollins and Chad Gable for a qualifying matchup. The matchup was quite nice. I'll be honest, I unfortunately did not get to see all of it, as I was, upstairs making myself some dinner. At that point, I was heating something up, and then when I came back downstairs, I took a bite out of my food, and I'm like, nope, it's still cold. Went back up and heated up some more, and then when I came back down, I just heard Seth freaking Rollins, and I'm like, oh, the match is already over? I was like, god damn, man. I was like, but I saw some of the replay, and I was like, well, the match looked like it must have been good. Moving on, we had Candice LeRae versus Io Sky. The match was good. Although I just want to point this out, there was one spot where Candice was going for an inverted Frankensteiner, and they completely botched that one. But that's fine. Those things happen. The one thing that is a little bit annoying though is how Damage Control always has the numbers, and yet Becky Lynch does nothing to help out with Candice LeRae and Mia Yim. And I'm like, look, I get it, that you want to be the lone wolf type of, girl, Becky, and I get that. But at the same time, it's like, sometimes you got to, help out your allies to take out your enemy. Bailey's out there all the time with Damage Control. You don't like Bailey, so go, help out, keep Bailey at bay. I'm just saying that's kind of what I would do if I was a babyface. I'm like, well, I don't like this guy, and I don't really care for these girls too much, or these guys too much. But fuck it. I want to be the be the pin in their plans, and that did not make any sense there. I couldn't think about the saying that I wanted there. But next we had Rhea Ripley calling out to make her decision to who she'll face at WrestleMania. I thought that I honestly don't know why they made Rhea say it so tell us right away. It's just like one of my least favorite things is that when they did the Women's Royal Rumble for the first time. I think it was in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, is that everyone went up to, the winner of the Rumble and said, who are you facing at WrestleMania? I was like, wait a second, they have to make up their mind right now? What happened to the suspense? I was like, why do we have to learn these things right now? Cody is obvious, because Roman Reigns is not defending his so far that we know, Roman Reigns is not defending his championship at the Elimination Chamber. So I'm just like, why do we have to know who Rhea is taking on at WrestleMania? And but I'm like, okay, whatever. So I kind of figured this was going to happen. I figured that Rhea was going to select Charlotte, as she did. I hope that Rhea can finally get her vengeance over on Charlotte like she deserves. But I'm not going to hold my breath. There's been too many times where they should have done it, but they didn't do it. So next up, we had an interview with Seth Rollins. Originally, the promo was just, how like it always is. Rollins says, I'm going to go on to Elimination Chamber, and I'm going to win. I'm going to, go to WrestleMania as the champion. Probably there was a laugh involved there. I can't remember the interviewer's name. Maybe it was Kathy Kelly, but she then asked Rollins for a comment on Logan Paul, and to which Rollins just got all serious, and he just looked off on the camera, and then he's like, he didn't say it, but no comment, and he just walked off the camera view. So, clearly, bringing up Logan Paul's name, brings some not so pleasant memories for Seth Rollins there. So, but eventually we're gonna have to connect the dots there between Logan Paul and Seth Rollins eventually. So next up we had Johnny Gargano and Baron Corbin in another. This is for another qualifying matchup for the United States Championship match. I thought this was a good match between Corbin and Gargano. Let's see. Although I have a fear for Dexter Lumis. I think that when it comes time for the chop block again, I almost fear that Dexter Lumis will be on that chopping block because it doesn't feel like that they have much for the guy. Which Dexter Lumis doesn't have to really do much, but like he doesn't have to play second fiddle to Johnny Gargano by being a manager in the corner for him. I mean, this was the first week that I know of that Lumis has done that. But honestly, just have like Dexter Lumis, painting pictures, or if you don't have anything for him, bring him and Indy Hartwell up together because they complete each other. Index is like one of the hottest things, and people still like it. They still love it, myself included. So like, if you don't really have anything for Dexter Lumis, make sure to do something with him to make him still desirable before it comes time for people to get their releases, because you know what's going to happen, eventually down the line, and I don't want Dexter Lumis to be on that chopping block again before they haven't done everything that they want to with him on the main roster, because there are still some things that you can actually do with Dexter Lumis. But so this is where I get worried though, because I feel like just because Dexter Lumis is supposed to be a creepy guy does not mean that Dexter Lumis has to be wielding like the serial killer weapons. He pulled out a battle axe, and it wasn't like like a big one, but it was an axe that he brought out. And JBL got so angry at a certain point, put his hat on the announcement table, and Dexter Lumis just stabbed it. He stabbed it with his axe, and JBL was like yelling and screaming, and then Gargano just rolled up, Baron Corbin a few moments after that. So there's that. But next we go to the MVP lounge with Austin Theory. And Theory is someone actually who I never really cared for at the beginning, but I never really knew much about Austin Theory, but he's actually starting to really grow on me as Austin Theory. He's been able to capture my attention with his wrestling ability in the ring and with his microphone abilities. He continues to improve more and more for me. But there was a couple points in this promo where it felt like it was lagging, or not lagging. It was going on too long because they were just going back and forth. It's like, what this show needs? It needs Austin Theory live. We're gonna change the name, MVP. It's time to push you aside, and I get my own show. I was like, what the hell? I was like, well, okay. But Theory eventually said something among the lines where he was talking some stuff about Bobby Lashley, and he said, I don't need to worry about Bobby Lashley because he's already got his own problems with Brock Lesnar. And then a few moments later, Bobby Lashley came out and he actually, was about to go after Austin Theory, but MVP was stopping Bobby Lashley, which is so weird. It's like I don't get this. Like, are we supposed to be doing the Hurt Business again, or because week after week Bobby is saying I'm not interested in doing the past again, but yet here we are, and at the same time, I heard a rumor that Bobby Lashley was supposed to be going heel, but I guess that might have changed, which would make sense, because why would you turn Bobby heel, as the fans clearly really like him still? And I don't really understand what's going on, but eventually Austin Theory said to Bobby Lashley, he's like, all right, yeah, you listen to what your daddy says. And then eventually MVP just like, I'm stepping aside, and then Bobby Lashley went, all apeshit crazy on Austin Theory, just, hammering in on some fist with him. And then Bobby Lashley was setting up for a spear. And this was quite obvious here. Like, MVP was holding out his cane there, trying to, like, raise up Austin Theory by, like, his neck there, I think he was doing, which actually looked pretty cool. But at the same time, I could already tell, I was like, okay, Theory's going to pull the cane, and then Bobby's going to spear MVP, which is exactly what happened. And the weird thing is that I think the announcer's name is Kevin Patrick. He said, "Oh man, what's this going to do to the relationship of Bobby Lashley and MVP?" And I was like, "What relationship do they have?" I'm like, week after week, Bobby Lashley says, "I'm not involved in the Hurt Business," and why would anyone want to be involved in the Hurt Business anymore? Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander are constantly losing. Omos lost at the Rumble. I mean, I know Omos isn't part of the Hurt Business, but eventually, if they rejoin, he probably would be. But it's like, why would anyone want to be in the Hurt Business anymore? It's like they're full of nothing but losers. The only one who really wins is Bobby Lashley. Omos just gets handed wins by beating up some enhancement talent. That's pretty much it. So, I just have no idea what they're doing with the Hurt Business stuff. The Miz came out. We came back from a commercial break. The Miz came out and said how he deserves better from the fans and from the Raw roster. Adam Pearce came out and he said, "You know what, Miz, you want an opportunity to show your craft, your stuff? Well, here you go. I'm going to give you a man who's just been signed to Raw, Rick Boogs." Rick Boogs comes out and this was so stupid. Kevin Patrick said, "The Miz looks scared of Rick Boogs." I'm like, no, he doesn't. I was like, he looks confused because he doesn't understand, like, Rick Boogs. And I'm like, man, just they make some weird stuff on their commentary team at times. And then Miz made a great point. He's like, "You want me to wrestle in my $10,000 suit that my wife bought me?" And Adam Pearce said, "Well, it's now or never, Miz." And so Rick Boogs won the matchup over the Miz, and who was still wearing a suit. And so the conspiracy against the Miz continues, I guess. But Boogs won the match, so there you go. This was completely strange. So Otis and Chad Gable were backstage, and they were walking away from something. The Maximum Male Models were on Raw, and Maxine goes, "Wow." Or the Maximum Male Models at first go, "What the heck is that thing? It looks like a beast." And Maxine goes, "It looks perfect." So I don't know if they're trying to do a recruitment of Otis, because it looked like she was just, fanning over Otis. So I don't know if they're trying to do a recruitment or if they're going to do a romance story between Otis and Maxine to try to, maybe try to repeat, freaking Mandy Rose and Otis. But here's the thing. Why are the Maximum Male Models on Raw? They are a SmackDown team. So tonight we got proof. If you think that the brand split actually means something, it doesn't. Nothing matters on the show. Put Miz on commentary, all right? Miz would actually do a better job than Kevin Patrick. I think Miz would do a better job at it. And I think that Miz would actually be like, you can't have two heel commentators though. Corey Graves can be the heel commentator, and the Miz can just be, Miz can be what Taz is on AEW. Taz isn't babyface or heel. I wouldn't per se. Taz is just, saying it like he is. He has his wrestling, experience in the ring there, does Taz, and so he commentates that on AEW. I wouldn't really know how else to describe Taz. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but guess we'll just, kind of move on. But, tonight was just absolute living proof that the brand split does not matter, guys. We'll talk a little bit more about that one later. So there was a promo that Bayley was doing, and Bayley was actually talking about how they beat down Becky Lynch, and she said everyone's talking about that beatdown. It was like the number one thing talked about in social media, and I kind of laughed a little bit. I was like, Bayley, the reason why people are talking about that beatdown is because it wasn't about how bad the beatdown was. It was because that your match got cut, and fans absolutely hated that. So that's why people were talking, you know, about that on social media. But Bailey was talking about how Damage Control was so dominant at the Rumble, yada yada yada. Becky Lynch came out shortly after that, and um, I can't remember really much about what Becky Lynch said. Bailey, though, actually surprised me tonight. Bailey actually captured my attention for once in a while, because Bailey was actually saying that Seth only married Becky Lynch because that Seth got Becky pregnant. And I was like, oh shit, she called her Rebecca. And I just figured that that was just, a way to tease some heat between the two. But then to drop a line like that, I was like, oh damn. I was like, that's pretty personal there. And I actually really liked that one. Um, which I was hoping that Becky would say something like, "Hey, at least I'm married, bitch. What did you got going on? You ditched your ex, or whatever she would say in return there, just to create more fire there." But then shortly after that, Becky Lynch just said, "You're gonna face me," because she wanted a rematch in the steel cage with Bailey, which the match never began with in the first place. So technically, you can't really do a rematch. But anyways. Bailey said, "No, I'm not doing that because I don't need to fight you." And then Becky said, "All right, I'll be back." Becky Lynch went to the back, and she was dragging out Dakota by her hair, and Dakota had a steel chair wrapped around her leg, and Becky was like, "All right, you're gonna give me the match now, or am I gonna have to do something that you're not gonna like?" She didn't say it like that, but pretty much you get what I'm saying. Bailey then eventually agreed to a matchup between the two, which will happen next week inside a steel cage matchup, which hopefully will actually take place this time, which I'm sure it will. Adam Pearce made an announcement that there will be a there will be a elimination chamber match for the women at Elimination Chamber. The winner will face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Good deal, right? The only problem is that Raquel Rodriguez, I think, is in there, and I know that Liv Morgan is in there. Both of these women are SmackDown wrestlers. Why? Why are they competing for the Raw Women's Championship opportunity? Ay, ay, ay. I mean, again, there's no such thing as a brand split anymore. If anyone wants to talk about, you know, the brand split, it's okay for the Usos to do it because they're the champions. It's okay for Roman to do it because he's the champion. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Makes sense. Why are all these SmackDown wrestlers still coming over to Raw? Answer: because nothing matters. The brand split, it does not exist. And I know that's not any news that you guys don't know, but it's just there was no more proof than tonight watching all that shit happen. There's no such thing as a brand split. They just do what they want to do. Bronson Reed took on Dolph Ziggler, and Bronson Reed picked up the victory in a pretty much an enhancement match over on Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler had some offense, but for the most part, it was all Bronson Reed. So there's that. Carmella came back actually for an interview, and she was just saying how I'm going to win the Fatal 4-Way because there's a Fatal 4-Way next week, and the winner will go into the chamber for the women's elimination chamber match. Sorry, got a little bit tired there for a moment. A usual promo. I'm gonna win the chamber. I'm gonna become the champion. Why? Because Mella is money. No offense to Carmella, but that's pretty much the cliff notes of her promo. But the thing that I liked the most is that eventually I thought that Bianca was going to come out because they did advertise for Bianca Belair tonight, but which we'll talk about later. Um, But when Carmella was looking over to the side, she saw Asuka, and Asuka came out. She wasn't wearing the Kana face paint or anything like that, but she did look different. She had like some type of like eyeliner, I think it may have been. I don't really know makeup too well, so I think it might have been like eyeliner that she was wearing. Um, but she's and Carmella was like, "Let me guess, you're gonna go ahead and just tell me that nobody's ready for Asuka, right? I mean that's pretty much what you do." And then Asuka just smiled, and as like some like the blue or purple mist, it just started dripping down her face as she was laughing, and Carmella was just like, "Ew." And I'm excited because I get to see, excuse me, I get to see what Kana is like in WWE. I have I'll be honest. I have no real information on Kana really, so I'm very excited to see this new side of Asuka that has never been seen before on WWE. I'm so glad that it wasn't just a one-off. I was worried that it was just going to be, oh, it's just for the Royal Rumble that we'll see this side of Asuka, and then it'll be the same old Asuka as always when we come back to Raw. It was not. It is a permanent. It's a permanent thing. Oh, I forgot to say is that Chelsea Green is actually still in WWE. So what she did at the Rumble was not just a one-off. She is in WWE. So here's the thing: they advertised for Bianca Belair tonight, and once again, for the second time in a row, they did not have enough time to deliver on what they promised. Last week, it was that because there was no Bianca Belair to come out there to cut her promo. There was no, like, when they said Bianca Belair up next, they said that on a graphic. There was no Bianca Belair. There was nothing about anything to do with, Bliss. There was nothing about showing a recap of what happened at the Royal Rumble. There was nothing with Bianca Belair. Nothing. And I'm just like, this is the second time in a row that this has happened where something had to be cut. And this was cut completely. Completely. So it's just there. I think there are starting. Maybe it's me, but there might be some cracks that are beginning to form for Triple H because one time it happens where a segment goes on too long, like it did for the trial of Sami Zayn. Okay, sure, I get that happened, but you know what? That was necessary to happen because that told the story more than it needed. That told a story, a great story that needed to be shown. But what was the? How do you lose track of time for not having Bianca Belair on there? And I'm not like the biggest fan of Bianca. Okay? I'll come out and say it. I'm not like the biggest fan of her, but it's just like you have a 3-hour show. How are you constantly not like how do you not have time for that? How is it that you have to cut another segment again? How is it possible? So I'm supposed to potentially expect that on week 3 that we will not get everything that's delivered to us because there was no Bianca Belair. There's no follow-up with, Bliss, about what happened with her and potentially Uncle Howdy but maybe we'll have to pay attention to SmackDown for that. I don't know. Because again, brand split doesn't matter, so whatever. But it's ridiculous, man. It's 3 hours. Like, I saw someone make this comment last week. It's like, how do you not have all the time in the world that you need on a 3-hour show? And again, the trial of Sami Zayn, that took up too much time, and so Becky Lynch and Bayley's steel cage match had to be cut. I get that. But it's just like, what was it about tonight's show that took up so much time that you couldn't show the promised segment that you put up? You put up a graphic for Bianca Belair, and then you don't deliver. I looked at my watch, or not my watch, but I looked at my phone, and I'm like, okay, what time is it? I was like, wait a second, where do we gotta find time for Cody Rhodes, Finn Balor, and Bianca Belair? And I was like, there's no time for that all. Only to find out that there is no Bianca Belair. Because again, they had to cut a segment. And again, they cut the women's segment. I mean, you know, the women were all over the show tonight, and I think it's going to be even more impactful because next week it's like pretty much ladies' night. There's, Becky and Bayley in the steel cage, a fatal four-way. I think there's supposed to be something else as well too, but it's just like, what? How do you do that? How do you just keep cutting segments? This is the second time that this has happened already. And it's not like it's happened every once in a while. This is back to back for Triple H. So he's got to make sure that week 3 this doesn't happen, because then there's a pattern showing, and then it just shows to me that something is wrong backstage. It makes me feel like that. Why are you not delivering on what's supposed to be delivered? Anyways, we'll get to the main event. Cody Rhodes took on Finn Balor in our main event. Cody had the offense in the majority of the beginning of the matchup. But then, in the middle, Finn started to take more control over the matchup by, targeting Cody's pectoral there. And then near the ending, there was a moment where Cody was on the outside of the floor. The Judgment Day were kind of surrounding him. And then Edge was coming down from the crowd. Damian Priest went out there, and Edge was, laid in some shots on Damian Priest. And then Edge, went over the barricade and took out Dominic and speared Dominic. And then Rhea Ripley got on top of Edge and started wailing on him. Then, of course, Beth Phoenix came out, and then she hit the spear on Rhea Ripley, which I think that Beth Phoenix needs to stop doing the spear because, this might just be my opinion. She doesn't do a very good spear. We've seen good spears before. Some people will say that Edge's spear isn't the best, but Edge's spear is at least better than Beth Phoenix, and I get it. That's not usually Beth's move that she does, but stop doing it. Hit a clothesline or something, Beth. It'll look much better, I think. You don't have to hit the spear just because your husband does the spear does not mean you have to do the spear. In my opinion, do something else. And then Balor had Cody Rhodes dropped. He had the shotgun drop kick in the corner. Balor went up top and was going to go for coup de grace, but Edge came up on the ring apron, and Balor told him to get down long enough for Cody Rhodes to regain himself a little bit. Balor went for the coup de grace, and Cody moved out of the way. And then got Finn captured for a crossroads. Cody Rhodes hit the crossroads 3 times, and then got the 3 count there. And that's how Raw, ended there. Cody Rhodes celebrates, and so no follow up with the bloodline whatsoever. Nothing but about repackage it, or about films about not films. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. Nothing about replays for the at Royal Rumble. So, when I say it like this, it really doesn't make you feel like that you missed much. This is a fine show. There were parts where I was kind of paying attention a little bit, but also keeping myself distracted a little bit at times to stay awake. So there was one segment backstage with Rick Boogs and Elias and the Street Profits. The Street Profits are supposed to be in singles competition, not against each other. They're supposed to face Angelo Dawkins is taking on Damian Priest. Montez Ford will take on Elias next week to see if whoever will qualify to be the final 2 for the Elimination Chamber for the men's. Yeah. So there's that, guys. I think that pretty much ends the review. Again, I think the show was fine. But that's pretty much all I've really got to say about that one. So, yeah. So I think that's like the nice thing about like my reviews is like I don't really go too full in depth. I don't give you the play by play of what happened in the match because most like I'll tell you when it's a bad match. I'll tell you if it's a bad match, and I'm like I'll talk about it. But for the most part, like pretty much all matches that usually show on wrestling, they're either boring or they're fine. But I'll always tell you when it's like, holy shit, that was a great match. I'll always tell you when that one was to give everyone their flowers. Um, so, but yeah, so I think that's the nice thing about like my reviews that I do is I just give you like the basic cliff notes of what happened on the show. Um, I don't really have to break it down. Would I get more views if I broke it down piece by piece? Probably, but I think that the nice thing about my reviews is that they're not too long and that we can all just watch in and then just get the hell out of here. You guys have got your stuff to get into. Anyways, let's go ahead and just get this over with. I don't want to ramble on too long. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button as I do reviews like this every week. I kind of fucked up last week, so I'm bouncing back this week, guys. I'm going to make sure to review all the shows for Raw, AEW, SmackDown, and Rampage as well. You can feel free to hit the like button if you feel like you deserve it. Much appreciated. Go ahead and leave a comment down below about what you thought of Raw. What was your favorite moment? And yeah. And I'm sorry. I'm a little bit exhausted right now. And then don't forget, I gotta buy a bell. I'm telling you, I gotta buy that bell. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll get a ring when I go live for any of my streams whatsoever, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and sorry, I got a little bit long here at the end. So take care, guys. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you.